Hey guys, I realized why my mom is the woman of the apocalypse. She had the battle, with Michael and the angels. She was the Satan party, which means she just had doubt when my dad started this process, however many years ago, and also facilitated because of his belief, and he was willing to lose everything. Well, not everything, but his family at least, for God. Then that caused me to die. So my brother's really docile. He was only a year and 8 months or something like that. and I, or maybe a year and 10 months, and I was 9 months old in that bathtub back in '83, and the water was off. My mom, she wouldn't have left the bathtub, and it probably only had maybe an inch or two of water in it. The thing is, when she came back, the water was on. My brother, he's totally docile. He would just sit still. He's not going to stand up and turn a faucet, even if he could. He may not even be able to physically. But the point is, he wouldn't have turned on the faucet. And I was 9 months old. I couldn't stand and reach. And even if I could, I couldn't turn a faucet. But when my mom came back, the water was running. And that was God. It was God who... I had been devoured by Satan at that point. As soon as I was born, those 9 months, I was one type of child. And God said, nope. Boop. And whatever mechanism he did, I don't know if he turned the faucet. He may have, inspired maybe he got in my brother and was like, turned it. I don't know. Some mechanism happened. Or maybe a stopper went out or whatever the fuck it is. Or maybe it was loose and the gravity hit. Whatever happened, the water went on. When my mom came back in the bathroom 8 minutes later, I was dead. Not brain damaged, not dead. Well, I was dead, but I was resuscitated then. I should have been brain damaged or not come back. But I came back, and I coughed the water, and I said, Mama. And she said, you acted different after that, and that's because I was a different soul, whatever I was then. Or... maybe, I got purged of Satan, and after that, no one told me what to do my whole life. I was a hellion, to use her word, and that's in a book that's going to be published in May. You see the whole fucking thing. It's already with the publisher. I think they already started printing off books. My point is, that was her example of facilitating, afterward, my parents, they divorced, and that was them, or the facilitation of, Michael and the Angels, which is my dad's party, and then... the battle with Satan or the dragon with my mom. And that was just her doubting his belief that the Ark of the Covenant, I believe, is under the heel stone. He solved that part of the book of Revelation. I couldn't do that. Because that's the one part of the book of Revelation I didn't solve. He solved it because he's the ram of the tribe of Judah. I'm the lion of the tribe of Judah. And, it's amazing what he did. He posted it online, and I never really looked at any of his crap because I always thought he was crazy. But I was trying to figure out who's the second witness. And sure enough, not only did he post an explanation of why he believes he uses parentheses after certain parts of chapter 1 of the book of Revelation to identify or interpret what the previous sentence or word meant. He says Mishkan. I did the same thing with chapter 13, with chapter 12. I sent it to some people. I did it really with the whole book of Revelation, except chapter 1. Or maybe I did it with chapter 1, but it was a crap chapter. So my point is, the altar of God is the ark, and heaven is Stonehenge. My dad's a genius. And I did the same thing with the rest of the book. So I solved that, but I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't have pulled this off without him because he solved that part. You got to solve the whole book of Revelation. It's a challenge. And I don't have a background in geology. He's the geologist. He proved God through geology, whereas I proved God through statistics. And together, we solved the entire book of Revelation. The two witnesses, the ram and the lion of the tribe of Judah. Now listen to this. I'm gonna send an email to him, and he'll dig into it. And he'll probably cry and tears of joy. But here's the thing. Here's how I'm going to end it. Because when the Michael and the Angels battle happened, that basically started climate change. Climate change has already started, but that's when like research really took off for climate change, and the volcano in Kilauea that erupted, that was the same year I died, 83. Research kind of goes back to 83. The love of my life was born in 83. I died in 83, and the song White Horse, it says it was released in 82 or 83, I can't tell. Maybe it was released, but then it got popular in 83. The point is, all that shit happened because my dad, the Ram, believed so much that God plucked me up. He found a solution to solve and then my dad spent 30 however many years plus my time, plus his mom's time, is a total of about 120 years worth of this. She had writings, and he tried to decipher them. He was like, I don't know. So then he took a fresh crack at it, and then he solved for the ark. And then I took a fresh crack at it without knowing him. You know, I knew that he like fucked around with the ark, but in the back of my mind, my whole journey, I'm like, well, my dad did it. Oh yeah, we're the line of David. But I didn't realize he was the second witness. It's awesome. But anyway, so that really kind of started the beginning of the end, and that's when the climate change shit, you see the temperatures rise. It's kind of flat temperature-wise, but then that 83 is when it started to pop. Kilauea hit off. My dad and my mom's marriage dissolved. You can even see the court records. She's fine. I mean, it's crazy, but we'll all investigate this over time. Here's my point. That's at the end of the Battle of Michael and Angels, which is basically their divorce, a very bitter divorce, was a line that says, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, or the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, and of the sea, for the devil is cast down to you. And he has great wrath, and he knows his time's up." Basically, check this out. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the ram and the lion of the tribe of Judah finally restore the house of David. He's the one to thank. All hail God. I could not have done this on my own. Revelation was a how-to guide. And all you had to do was give it your everything to solve it. Now, my dad gave it everything. He sacrificed his family, his reputation, all that stuff, but he kept his business because he held on it because he needed money. Me, I was like, well, my mom, Woman of the Dragon, she's a mental health professional. Plus mental illness is like, totally understood nowadays. So if I lose everything, and you couldn't have fucking held me back on this journey. Because in my mind, the love of my life, there's nothing I wouldn't do to prove the existence of God because she's an atheist, you see. And I'm not attracted to any other woman except for her. So the alternative, it's either all in and just whatever I had to do, lose everything, go into debt, get sued, all that shit, whatever. Because my life would never have a woman in it again, you see. So that's not a life at all. I mean, and plus I was going to kill myself before I even started talking to her anyway. So I had nothing to lose. I just had to wrap up my divorce with my ex-wife, and I was going to off myself with with a heavy dose of heroin in Portugal in 2017. And then lo and behold, I talked to the Jewish chick, love of my life. She's the Esther character. I decided to divorce my wife formally because I was on the fence about it before. Cut her a check, and then I have no responsibilities. I mean, I had responsibilities with my work and stuff, but I folded that shit. I was like, yeah, we're done there. And then that was March of 2018. Now it's January of 2019, and everything since then, I've been operating on fumes, pretty much since April. I was flat broke since April of last year, But I kept pushing forward. I'm homeless I stayed with my mom because without her, I would have been on the street. You see, but I knew that she would interpret all of this as mental illness because she's the woman of the apocalypse. So as all these natural disasters are happening, she's oblivious to it because she's just focused on her own shit. And she's trying to, solve medicine and all this stuff, which I'm going to end medicine. Or my dad's going to retrieve the ark, right? We're going to solve climate change. We're going to usher in heaven on earth. And it all happened under her nose, you see. And she has a choice that she'll have to make, or she can make, and that's to either pursue this with us, i.e. she's trying to figure out the connection between spirituality and physical health, which I have the entire study design proven, so she can take that and run with it in a formalized setting at a hospital, or she can try to keep playing God, and then she'll lose. But here's my point. Today's the day where she's getting her carpet replaced, and there's going to be paint on the walls. She just bought a new car, and all these things are happening, and I didn't realize it until I had to start moving stuff, but it made me think about it. And I'm sitting there saying, I would not be buying a new car or a car at all. I would not be getting my house painted or a carpet, because there's nothing after July of 2020 unless we instate a new system. My point is, all this shit's going to slip away. Everything that people have worked so hard for, planning for the future, there is no future. So my carbon footprint, as I get, she said yesterday, she's like, you don't do shit, you just sit around here. Well, I've been thinking and figuring out the meaning of life and all, solving Book of Revelation. I've been working all day, 18 hours a day. But in her mind, because she's a master of the system, and I'm not trying to just focus on her, I'm just saying she's representative of Babylon, right? The idea of like the standard, what you should do. You need to make this money. You need to, get the new carpet, get the new car, have the status, all that. It's all a lie. Because if you fast forward 30 years in her life or 20 years and she has $1 billion, she won't be happy. She'll then have to start working on what actually makes you happy, which is connecting with him. You see, in a real way, the actual him, not her version of him. Because when you don't connect with the actual him, you feel pain, physical illness, mental illness, anxiety, depression, stuff like that. But, you'd have to then bump around and find him, the real one. Not the guy that the preacher's talking about, but the actual God. And most people die before they get to that point. Everyone dies before they get to that point, except Jesus. Well, Jesus discovered, the full system or whatever, and then he was murdered for it, just like myself and my dad. The ram will be. But seeing her get those, things all in place, to get everything perfect in life, here's what's going to happen. She'll get it installed, and then fast forward a couple months, it's not going to matter. Life will happen. She won't have the meaning of life clocked, and then she'll be miserable again and wondering, why? I got all this stuff. Why? What the hell? Because money and goods can't buy happiness. In fact, all it does is continue to ruin the earth. So she gets no happiness, no additional happiness, except, for a temporary period of time, but then that goes away because it's fleeting. Eventually she'll die or get sick or whatever. Not that I wish that upon her. But that'll happen, and she'll be scratching her head saying, why am I not happy? Because there's no solution there. Now, my dad figured this out when he was 30, and so did I. And that's what the entire Book of Revelation is about. In a nutshell. The Babylon piece, that's not going to make you happy. You can't buy it. You can't, own it. He gives it to you. It's all based on what you do for him. And when you do it for him, the actual him, you have to understand his tastes by knowing what made you feel pain, and then doing the opposite. Understanding how he speaks to you through coincidence. Pain in your body, what was the thought that I just had? Correct it. You see? And then eventually you refine your own personality, customized to his beliefs or his tastes, and he takes you when he knows that you are totally on board and you lose everything you have. Just like Jesus was homeless and Moses was homeless, and you're ridiculed and it's a positive form of suffering, he'll give you everything you want. But you got to work for it. In my case, in my dad's case, we got to die for it. That's why the witnesses die. One other thing, the witnesses, there's two of them, me and my dad, the ram and the lion. Great names, by the way. But the question is why is there two? Why wasn't there just one? And I tried to prophesize 33 times, or I did prophesize 33 different videos on Christmas, for Christmas Eve disasters. And he gave me a volcano eruption, and he gave me stock market crash and all this shit. But they weren't as, big as I thought they would be. But then I looked at the chapter 11, our chapter, which, just to say one thing, it ends the first half of the book of Revelation, and then the next half starts with his battle with Michael and the angels, my death when I'm a kid, the whole divorce, all that stuff. It's basically, the first half ends with the Ark of the Covenant retrieval, which my dad spent 35 fucking years advocating where it is. And then the beginning shows how he got there, the beginning of his journey. It's fucking genius how God did that. But Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the two witnesses. So the question is, why do you need two of them? And the answer is because the power that it goes along with him giving you the authorization to prophesy any plagues as many times and as often as you want. For me, on Christmas Eve, I didn't realize I needed the second witness to do them effectively. But I fucking did 33 in one day. I would have fucked up the world. You know what I'm saying? But when you have two of them, it's like a check and balance. Because unless we're both on camera, as it clearly states in Revelation 11, that we prophesy from it's from their mouth, singular. Well, how can two people there, which is plural possessive adjective or whatever, how can the word there, which is plural, two people have one mouth? And that's if they're in the same video, the ram and the lion. And when we come on and we say there's going to be a plague, whatever it is, he's going to thumb. You see? But if my dad is like, let's do 15 of them, I'll be like, no. If I'm having a shitty day, I'm like, let's do 45 of them. They're like, no. Because we both have to agree. You see? It's kind of like in the U.S. government. We have three branches. Checks and balances. Ram and the lion, checks and balances. And, of course, the big man upstairs. So that's that in a nutshell. But I guess, what I was saying before about her teaching me that, about all the stuff, the carbon footprint of a new car, paint on walls, carpet installed, and it's all going to go away. And even if we didn't have the apocalypse, I'm not saying we won't, I'm just saying in the event that this was just another person 40 years ago or whatever, still would have been happy, because that shit doesn't buy happiness. Simple.